Hey, today we are looking at the sacral center, which is this center here. Now, each time I've just trying to be guiding you a little bit that the energy is flowing. So we started with flowing down with the pressure from the head center coming, feeding through to the throat. These channels between each is how the energy or the information moves through our body. And so we're coming down, and then we've also got pressure coming up from the root. So today we're going across from, yesterday was the solar plexus, and we're into the sacral center. Now the sacral center is going to be defined if you're a generator or a manifesting generator. And that sacral center has the life force energy, that juicy energy that keeps us all moving forward. So it is the life force energy. That doesn't mean that obviously if you don't have it defined, you don't have life force energy flowing through you, but it is the energy that propels us forward. It's got the reproductive energy in there. It's got your sexual energy. It's got that life force energy and the workforce energy. So we've got, when you've got that center defined, you have the energy to keep going. Now, if you are doing things that is draining your energy, things that you don't love, things that are not lighting you up, then that's going to be draining your energy, and we want to eliminate them as much as possible, passing those things on, delegating them, giving them to people who will love to do those things. So with that life force energy, that sacral center, that's our gut energy. That's where we get our response from for our generators and manifesting generators. That's where we get the we get the wanting to lean in. We get the excitement bubbles up in there when it's something that we're responding to that is for us. And then if it's something that we're responding to that isn't for us, it's going to be like So that kind of feeling is coming from the gut, and that's saying that our body knows best. So we're taking it away from the mind, away from the thinking, away from the list of the pros and the cons, and bringing that intelligence back into our body and allowing our body to process the information. So with the sacral center being defined, you have got life force energy powering through you. Now, depending on which center you have defined, I don't have the numbers on this chart, but there are different centers that connect to each of these different channels. So we've got 3 going up here. We've got 3 going down here, 1 out to the spleen and 1 out to the solar plexus. Okay, now, some very important juicy information about those energies. If you've got energy, those channels defined or colored in that are going from the sacral center up to the G center, those channels have some really significant mutation energy in them. So it's taking that energy from the sacral center, moving it up into the G center, which is all about yourself and your identity, self-identity, self-love. So you've got some really powerful energy working up there. Then going down, there's 3 channels going down from the bottom. Bring that one back. So going down here, so those 3 channels are called format channels. And those format channels, they have the power to influence all the different parts of your design, all the different parts of your chart. So for example, I have the 9 to the 52. Back. So that's this channel over this side. The 9 to the 52 is format channel. The 9 is all about focusing on the details, doing the small things that make big impact. And the 53 is about preparing to get started. So it's all about the planning and the details and doing the small things that move the needle. So that really, really has a powerful influence on my design. And as I reflect back on what that has looked like over my life, it's been a case of always planning. I've business plans for Africa, right? Always in the planning, but there has been a resistance to the implementation, the execution. So I've been a great planner, but those plans haven't come to fruition because I've been stuck in that former energy of doing the planning, being prepared, but not taking that next step to launch, which would come in from my emotional connection, from my, bringing me back here, tell you my story, from my solar plexus up to my throat. As a manifesting generator, I've got the power to initiate. I've got that emotional connection that says, hey, let's get this going, Kelly. But not knowing that and having that former energy be so powerful in my life, I haven't made the connection, and until recently got there. Actually, that's not entirely true. There are obviously things I've done, but now that I'm aware, there's so much more power in my small actions moving me forward, and in the awareness of the emotional connection to my throat center to bring my purpose into form. So we'll just go a little bit deep. So when you're looking at your chart, you're going to see 2 numbers at the top on the right hand side, 2 numbers at the top on the left hand side. Those 4 numbers combined create your incarnation cross. And it's said that the incarnation cross is the theme of your life, or your purpose, if you will. And that comes into play. They say that you plant your cross after the age of 30. So if you're 30, Geordie, I see you here, you're ready to step into that and to plant that cross, which is to sow the seed, to lay the foundation for the next 20 years up to your 50, which is, they say, the Chiron return. So the planet Chiron comes back into cycle, and that is the wounded healer. I shouldn't say wounded healer. That is known as the wounded healer. So there's some lessons to be learned around your 50th year, which takes you into that spiraling up of your next level up, right? So the incarnation cross, my incarnation cross is called the left angle cross of education, which means that my purpose here is to educate, it's not actually why I do these lives. I do these lives because I love doing them, and I get juicy energy from doing them. You can see my face light up when I'm doing them. And that means that, like, that is the signature of satisfaction, right? So I feel incredibly satisfied doing these lives, teaching you, sharing what I have learned so that you can go forward and take this knowledge and put it into action, because it's just so much fun experimenting with life. So me sharing this is me leaning into that energy, but in a way that I would do it anyway if I didn't know. But knowing is like, I feel so much more on purpose and purposeful as I share, because in the back of my mind, it's like, oh my God, yes, because this is my incarnation cross. Having said that, back in my 30s and 40s, probably in my 40s, that was when my kids were in school, and I got involved in the school trustees. My kids were in school in New Zealand, so we had a school trustees association that is, what's the word, when you vote, it's chosen by the parents of the school, and so you put your nominations in and go to elections. And yeah, so I was on the primary school, the intermediate school, and the high school, and then I also was leading the Auckland region for the School Trustees Association. And I felt my best, my most purposeful in those times. And I didn't even like school. I was there because I wanted the best for all the kids. I wanted to be able to give a different perspective from someone who actually didn't like school, to what it's like to be a kid going to school who doesn't like school, and to make sure that the kids who didn't like school were getting the attention, not just the A students, the ones who were passing the tests. Like, they would have passed the tests, I'm guessing, anyway, because they were that way inclined, or that way driven, or that way incentivized by their parents. But for me, an average student who didn't like being at school because of the social implications of that, like not having friends, or not, probably did have friends, but didn't feel like I had friends, it was unpleasant. And so when I discovered that I had the left angle cross of education, it was like, oh, that's weird, but oh, actually that makes so much sense. So I've gone off track. We were talking about the sacral center. So when you've got that sacral center, you're always going to want to be coming back to your strategy and authority. So the sacral is all about responding as your generator, manifesting generator. And that is that that lit up, that excited to do something. And then your authority is going to be either the emotional processing through the waves, or you're going to have that sacral authority as your decision-making mechanism. So if you've got that sacral authority, once you're excited about something and you feel like, yes, it's a go, you're good to go. And you're just going to experiment and see what else, you follow the breadcrumbs and see what else the universe is bringing to you to take you further down that path. And you're always going to be looking at strategy, authority. If you are frustrated, which is your not self theme, your way that is showing you that you might be off track. So sometimes you might be off track, but that's not to be confused with the actual discomfort of growth and discomfort of learning and discomfort of expansion. As if we're all mothers here, we know the expansion of giving birth, that's not pleasant. It's frustration that we go through to birth the gift that is our child, right? So there's frustration in the journey, and then there's frustration from being off course. So really using your discernment and acknowledging, am I going to be satisfied when I get through this frustration? Am I on track towards satisfaction? Or is this just making me so frustrated that I've gone off course? The other thing to bear in mind as a generator and the manifesting generator is that the generator energy, that sacral energy, has bursts of, or J curves of learning. So you're going to go up this steep learning curve. You're going to get the information or the skills, and you're going to plateau as that information integrates. Right? So as that information integrates, you're going to be on the plateau, and you're going to potentially feel frustrated in the plateau because it's like, I'm so used to go, go, go. But that plateau is leveling you out for the next burst. So those are the things to be mindful of as a generator with that sacral energy defined. If you don't have that sacral energy defined, you may have gates that are active in there. And when that gate is connected to another center through a transit, which is the planets moving, then you'll have access to that energy temporarily. The other thing to be aware of is when you are around a generator, you're going to be able to tap into that generator energy because it's such juicy energy. You're going to be able to, it's likely that your interactions, your electromagnetic fields are going to be able to feed off each other. Okay, so that is the generator. I think I've covered everything. We've got strategy, we've got authority, you've got your not self theme or your being off track, your signature theme of being satisfied. That's how you know that you're on track. And one thing I want to add in here is when you do feel that satisfaction, just take it in and say, yes, universe, more of this. I love this feeling. Please give me more of this. And that is going to have a profound impact, because I've been experimenting with it this week. It's going to have a profound impact on your manifestations. It's going to have a profound impact on you moving forward in your human design journey, because as you practice asking for more and as more comes to you, you're going to shift out of that mainstream way of being in the frustration, and you're going to be lifting that collective energy out of that frustration and out of that drained energy that we feel as we in the 9-to-5 world, and you're going to be lifting that so that it's so much easier for people coming in and people coming through and people who are questioning life and looking around at the circumstances and saying there must be more to this. It's going to lift that energy so that it's easier for them to come into the space of lighter energy. and freedom and just moving in alignment with who they are. So it doesn't have to be human design, because not everyone is going to be human design informed. But lightening that energetic load for them is a gift. It really is a gift that you can give them. That was just, whew, that just came out. I love that. So that's a wrap for today for our generators, manifesting generators, projectors, manifestors, reflectors. Without that center defined, you still have access to the energy when we're in the transit, or when you're in the space of someone with that energy center activated. So remember, when we have open centers, that's where we're receiving energy and amplifying it. So if you're around a generator, you're going to be receiving that juicy energy and amplifying it. When you don't have your emotional center defined and you're around someone in a great mood or a bad mood, you can take on that energy and amplify it. When you're around someone who has a great sense of direction, you're going to take that on board and amplify it. When you're around someone like Tony Robbins with a defined heart center, motivation center, will center, all those names mean the same thing for the heart center, you're going to be able to tap into that motivational energy and amplify it for the time that you're in their aura or in their space, or the time that the transit is active and that center is active for you. So it is it's not even woo-woo. This stuff is mechanical. It's the way that the universe operates energetically. And that's something that's really becoming more and more solidified in my mind. When I was in high school, I was so proud of myself for memorizing the formula for photosynthesis. Like, that was, we were going to be tested. It might have been year 10 or something. And obviously I don't know it now because I've had no use for it in my life. But knowing that everything living has a design, photosynthesis is the way that plants grow, and human design is the way that we are designed to operate energetically throughout our life. And there is a unique design for each one of us. So I will leave you with that thought, and I will be back tomorrow and we'll look at the spleen center. Before I go, I just want to really reiterate the way that so we've been talking about the energy centers, and that is the chakra centers that comes from the Hindu system. We've not so much been talking, I've talked about the transits, and the transits are the planetary energies from the astrology, right? Now we've been talking about the way that the energy or information moves through our centers, and that's from the Kabbalah. So all those systems together form human design. And we've also got the I Ching in there, which is the numbers of the gates in our centers. And then we've got quantum physics, which I'm going to touch on this really gently, but I don't know if you've heard this, but I've certainly heard that we are all made of stardust and magic, right? So what that actually means in a mechanical sense is that as the planets move, there are neutrino streams. And if you're a scientist, you can look this up, or you can Google, or you can chat GPT. But neutrino streams are the subatomic particles of the planets that are flowing through the atmosphere at all times. And as the planets move, there are different energies within those planets that are feeding into our sphere. And so the planetary placements that are on our charts are where the planets were and the energy streams that were coming through at 88 degrees or 88 days before we were born, and on the day and the time that we were born. So that is the quantum physics that is also fueling our life story. And then, of course, we've got the quantum physics of our intentions and our actions. So all that makes us the magical beings who are in control of what we do. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to come back tomorrow and teach you more.